Eventually, thank you. Welcome for being patient to the Flutter community panel. My name's Simon Lightfoot, and we'll get on the queue. Who we got here?
I'm Jeroen Meyer, but you can call me Jay. I'm a senior engineer at Very Good Ventures.
Remy?
I'm Remy, working at Invert as an open source methodist, and also to our provider and other packaging.
I am Andre Diacono. I am representing Microsoft, the Microsoft Surface Duo team, and I'm responsible with the Flutter experience on the device.
And I am Majid, one of the admin or leader of Flutter community, as well as GDE.
Hi, I'm Dominic, and I'm a principal engineer at VGV.
Hi, I'm Rez. I'm the owner of a small agency called Upcode.
So, I want to open the floor up to any questions. I know you're all here for the raffle, so we'll get to that in a minute.
Do it last, everyone will leave.
Right. Actually, if anyone has any Flutter-related questions or about any of the talks that have been happening, now's the time to ask them. If you don't, we'll just do the raffle, I guess. I mean, there is some open questions I could ask the panel, if there is anyone. Any questions? Hands up. Anyone?
Yeah, okay. I'll just start with one.
Oh, benevolent Raz.
Yeah, so guys, here's the question. Let's say I'm a medium to big company and I'm doing natively everything. And I'm thinking of ways to optimize and exploring different options. Should I go React Native or Flutter or something else? Pros and cons.
Everyone here is going to say Flutter.
Yes, React Native, all the way. No.
Go away.
I can get us started if you want to. So the first thing that comes to mind, I think, for everybody here is add to app. So I'm not sure what React Native's offerings are on this front, but what Flutter offers is something called add to app, which means that you can embed a Flutter app within an existing iOS or Android project, right? So we've done this multiple times at VGV, and I've seen many people do it. Even though it's not the most popular option, instead of just like starting a new Flutter project, as you mentioned, like sometimes that's not a thing you can really do with your time and budget, especially if you have a huge code base with native APIs and that kind of stuff. So then add to app comes in really handy, which means that you embed a Flutter view, and what we see a lot happening is that people add with a single Flutter view that they just spawn as an activity, for example, and then they slowly start taking over the rest of their app with Flutter, and at the end you have a fully featured Flutter app, and you might as well just do away with your existing native stuff. So you can do it incrementally if that's what your company needs. Perfect.
Anyone else? Any more questions? Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you for being... Oh.
Hey. If you all had a magic wand, and you got to answer this quickly, each individual one of you, what would you want adding to sort of the Flutter or Dart ecosystem that doesn't currently exist?
That's $1 million question.
It is.
You can start that end.
Yeah, let's start at that end.
Oh, okay. So what I would like to have, it would be a document editor. So if we would have this, that would be like huge for the web world, and also for companies that actually want to build this kind of like interaction with documents. So that would be for me.
Maybe that's not popular, but like I don't actually feel like Flutter is good for web. Like there are some use cases for that, but I would bring more focus to the previously existing platforms like mobile and maybe embedded than to open like a huge Pandora box of web, and like there's like so many things that don't work, and the general marketing or like outreach is that like it's good enough, and it is in some cases. Like at VGV we had several even like a larger scale web projects that had thousands of users on web, and it worked, but like the amount of work and effort needed to satisfy the requirements was just like inappropriate. Like it was so big to compared to any other web framework. So again, like I would maybe change the focus, and if I were to like release Flutter free, I would just like ditch the web support.
All right, to make the like portfolio diverse, I would say that Flutter needs to have a very good support for web. So, because sorry to contradict you, but you know, a lot of developers coming to Flutter from web actually background, and they've heard that, you know, Flutter is compiling to web too, but when they see the outcome, then they get really disappointed, right? Because it's not very competitive compared to other competitors, right? React or Angular or etc. While I agree with Dominic, so the main purpose of Flutter initially was like supporting this native platform, but I think web community or web in general is a very big platform. You can't simply ignore it. So, and Flutter is saying that we are a multi-platform, you know, a framework or whatever you want to call it. So you can't simply just say, oh, web, let's just ignore it, right? So I think, and also I think Google is big enough so they can hire a bunch of engineers sitting there and, you know, probably make web better, right? So I'm not really worried about the size of the team, hopefully, so they can manage it. Do you want to answer that?
Just like one remark, it was like a magic wand question, and it's obvious that they won't get rid of that. So like if anybody felt like this is some kind of a notification or whatever, like it will be there, like the web will be there, and like they will improve that, at least from our knowledge. But yeah, like if I were to change the world, that would be like a one thing.
Good.
Hi. So, does my mic work though? Okay. So, my answer is okay. So the magic wand question is brilliant because you can also give answers that maybe aren't possible to implement. But my answer is actually kind of in the realm of possibility, and it's actually libraries that I, as an individual developer, was thinking of developing. So one would be SEO support for Flutter Web. Something like you would have a third rendering engine that kind of spits out stuff that can be easily indexed. If that's the solution or not, it's irrelevant for me, but to make Flutter Web indexable would be a great way of making it kind of a legitimate web framework. Maybe the performance will still be needed to be improved, but I would definitely not consider using something else for web if it would be SEO friendly. The second would be, from my own opinion, a better way to theme the app. I mean, Flutter apps are very easy to theme correctly if your design is material design. But if you want to obtain something like CSS offers for the web, then you're out of luck. It's not really that powerful. That's also why browsers are so complicated, because they are basically huge theming machines. They interpret CSS in wild ways. So something that brings it a bit closer and makes it easier for white label application developers to easily theme their app. And that's also a good idea for a library I was also pondering on. So I think these two are enough to give people some thought, I guess.
For me, it's quite simple. Union type and button matching, please. Please.
Basically TypeScript features in general, or like functional.
No, already specific to union types.
Oh, yeah, fair. Yeah, that would work well for us too. I was going to say, I was thinking between that one and the other one, but I'm glad you mentioned that. I would really like iOS support, like iOS design language support, to be as good as Materials is. Because Cupertino has been lagging behind for a long time. There are components missing, components outdated, the library is extremely small, and it just doesn't work as fluently, and it's not as flexible really as Material is, so it doesn't allow for a lot of customization, which is something to be said for. So you align to the design principles of iOS, but even the ones that are there aren't either up to date or they don't function right, or like, and I know iOS has very different design languages where animations happen implicitly with like lists, but it works really well, and I find it extremely pleasant to use, and I wish there was better support for that kind of thing. I've been working on a project with Ruben, and we're trying to sort of set that up so it's called Cupertino Plus. So we're trying to set up a group of people that are interested in building proper iOS updated iOS components that work well. But I would wish it was like a first-class citizen like Material is. Meanwhile, Material's getting an update, right? But I have heard no news about Cupertino, so that's something I really wish was better with my magic wand.
So you were just saying, about the web stuff. I think WebAssembly, getting that sort of Dart component to WebAssembly is a big plus, I think. But Magic, yes, shaders. I really like it if we could control Skier shaders or OpenGL shaders directly in the pipeline, because that would really do those nice effects of page turning and all sorts of fun things without lots of pixel manipulation. That'd be my go-to. Next question, I guess.
Okay. Do you think in the future you might support or consider to support or add on feature to React Native?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Do you think that in the future, because Flutter is native, right? Do you think that will be a possibility to add support for React Native?
So like add to app for React Native.
Oh.
I mean, I suppose you could do it right now. I mean, lots of JavaScript involved. I mean, it could be a possibility.
Excuse me. In the past, actually, when like the add to app was, I don't know if that answers your question, but we tried to add Flutter to the React Native app, right? So it was like just another view or activity in the React Native app, and it was just like you had to make the communication working between React Native and Android, and then between Android and Flutter, right? So it's doable. The problem was, of course, there was no optimizations whatsoever in terms of tooling, right? So like all the minification and all that stuff, it wasn't there. It was like 2-3 years ago, just at the beginning of add to app. It was like the previous approach to that, and probably today it would be even easier.
Yeah, I think I understood the question wrong, but I still think my thought process was interesting. I thought you were asking if Flutter could be added as a target for React Native, and that would be a wild project. Like to be Flutter to be the rendering, like a fourth platform for it, right? Anyway, we'll talk about it over beers, I guess.
Yes.
Any more questions?
2 this time. It's growing.
So I'm not from the mobile world, but I'm working on a project which is for construction, and we are building a plugin actually for 2 major CAD models, CAD softwares, Revit and Autodesk. Sorry, Revit and ArchiCAD, and one of them is actually a C# application, and the other one is a C++ application. And one thing we had to do, we created this plugin using a web view, so that we didn't have to basically code the same thing for the 2 platforms. And I've found out recently that Flutter actually is able to support desktop. And my question is, could I, for example, create an application in Flutter and integrate it into a C# application or a C++ application?
Yes. Yes. Next question, please. No. Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. Sorry. So I was going to say, it's got a feature called FFI, Foreign Function Interface, which means you can call out to your C# or C++ code straight from Dart on desktop. So if you've got so if you've got any current native code that works on, let's say, Mac or Windows on the platform you're on, you can actually call that code directly.
Do you have
Examples?
Google.
Yeah.
So that's actually documented?
Yes, it's documented.
It is documented.
It's fully documented, and you can do callbacks from the C code back into Dart code, and it will run the right threads and handle the serialization of data.
There's also the plugin route Wouldn't that work?
That's also another route as well.
Yeah,
so you can do plugins with method calls.
Yep.
But since your code is actually compiled to native machine code, you can just use FFI and it'll be a lot quicker.
It's a little bit more of a hassle, and you're dealing more with like the low-level stuff, but it's performant.
Yeah. And you can also do this the other way around. So just put a Flutter window and embed it in anything you want, like UWP or old-fashioned Win32 applications, or like I think Ubuntu does the installer right now with Flutter. And like this is kind of like the options are limitless in terms of like which way you want to put it, because like the Flutter itself is like it doesn't care like what is underneath until you actually want to use some kind of platform features. But like this is why you can run on embedded, on desktop, on web, and who knows what else.
On a fridge. Yeah, absolutely anything. Next one.
Okay, next question.
Yeah. Raz, get running.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm trying to think of how to phrase this. I mean, I guess I've mostly done React Native in the last 3 years or so. I've been dabbling a bit with Flutter recently. I guess some observations from outside. I think like Flutter is amazing in terms of the performance and tooling. There's just such a big contrast when you come from React Native there. I guess there are areas where I feel like maybe it's a little bit weaker. Things like styling and animations I find a bit harder to get my head around how things work there, whereas it seems like the APIs are a bit sort of either more flexible or simpler. I guess my two main things I kind of run into and think, is this really for me? Or, they really make me almost question the whole thing. One would be the kind of, I don't know how to quite describe this, sort of class confusion. So there's about 12 different kinds of widgets, assuming you're using a few like third-party things. And if I'm using state management, well, am I using the provider, consumer, observer? And it gets pretty confusing. And it seems like often in React Native and React, there's quite simple ways of doing kind of analogous things. I guess the second would be on verbosity. So often you get these nested widgets, and it's matching the brackets is a bit confusing. And there in React Native, it would often there'd be one styling object or something, so you wouldn't do quite as much nesting. Or if you have nesting, you have the JSX thing, which makes it a little bit easier. So, but yeah, I mean, I love a lot of stuff about Flutter. In particular, thank you, Remy. The hook stuff is amazing. In particular, I've really liked using that.
So the second question was about styling. Sorry.
No, I don't consider the styling a major thing. I think it's the sort of often you just a huge number of classes. I don't know, maybe it's just like nothing.
So I'm going to take a little bit of this. Part and parcel of the declarative approach is about composition. So you're going to have a lot of widget classes that do unique things. So as you were saying, you don't have like a style widget that has lots of parameters for alignment, for color changing, background color, and all this. Instead, you have a center widget, you have an alignment widget, you have a font color widget, and then the idea is that you compose them together. But then you do get that nested hierarchy. To control the nested hierarchy, you can do a couple of different things. One is always use trailing commas, because you'll find that it matches up a lot easier when you do that. But the second is that the idea of the framework is to sub off. So you just extract that set of widgets as a widget of its own. So what you've now done is you've grouped those widgets under another name, and now you can reuse that name across your app, rather than having to repeat that whole set of widgets. And it's really just that. So you can break up your UI into your own layers. I mean, this is the power of Flutter is that it lets you do whatever you want. It's also its downfall in the sense that you've got so many options then, right? So it's about learning what's available and choosing what you want to do. But it's not like it limits you in any way, and that's the key. To the panel?
Yeah, I was just going to add that don't underestimate the power of the build context, because a lot of things that used to be solved by either something, some parent widget or a parent component that had a indirect influence on its children, or having like lots of parameters, you'll see a lot of the times context is used instead. So for example, the theming of a text is fully dependent on the context unless you give it like specific arguments for specific things. So use that context to your advantage to scope stuff like styling, for example, or state management with provider, right? That works really well. And I think your first question was more so about architecture. Is that right? Or
yeah, I mean, it's a bit. It just sort of in a number of areas, it feels like there's like
a lot of stuff.
I see. Yeah.
As a newcomer, I think someone mentioned this in another talk.
Yeah. It's a lot of different classes.
I'd like to take that a bit. So
Yeah.
You also mentioned there's a lot of libraries for state management, which is, you had a talk on this today. So my recommendation, especially since you already said you're kind of starting with Flutter or you're exploring it, I guess us as a community we are always excited about new things that we can do, new tools that we can build. But the reality is that you actually don't need anything else than flutter.dev to get started and get quite far away. And when you'll know that you have some kind of limitation, like this is kind of cumbersome to manage the state, you'll eventually learn about some state management. You'll try it, maybe you'll experiment with them, but they are not in any way needed for you to grow as a Flutter developer. So in that sense, I think since you're comparing it to React Native, in React Native you do need a lot of external libraries just to get an app built. In Flutter, it comes with batteries included, and then it comes with a whole bag of other batteries, but you don't need to look in the bag. You'll look in it when you're ready, you know? Yeah.
I would also argue that while there are many classes, in general, you don't need that many at all. Like, you could get started with maybe 10 of them, like column, row, container, and those basics ones, and you could get very, very far with just a very limited pool of classes. And those other classes are really for more edge cases that you may need on very rare cases.
If I'm not mistaken, you mentioned about parentheses as well, right? I've heard that word. Have you ever done closure?
It's actually my first programming language.
Yeah, so then don't complain about Dart.
So basically you have some form of PTSD because of you're seeing like closure-like language, right?
Yeah, it's too much.
But in fact, actually, you know, if you have a proper tooling setup with a proper linting probably or formatting,
Yeah.
I mean, parentheses are not a problem. Like you can just add a simple semicolon at the end of each parenthesis, and then it's just formatted. Like you can simply read it.
So there's a great plugin for Android Studio /IntelliJ, and that's rainbow brackets.
Yeah, bracket pack colorization.
For VS Code fans, it's included like
Yeah.
already. You don't have to have a
it
package
native.
for that.
Yeah. Also, if you have a lot of parentheses, just last thing I'll say about it. If you have a lot of parentheses, that's probably the moment to start breaking up your widgets because it gets too nested.
Yeah, it's a code smell, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or remind yourself closure.
Yeah. At least it's not closure. Flutter, at least it's not closure.
If you are kind of curious about the kind of idea of taking a bunch of widgets and actually making it into one sort of container widget, well, there's a container widget for that. And actually, if you go look at the source code of container, that's exactly what it does. So when you change the alignment of container, it actually uses an align widget. When you, I'm trying to think of another one. When you change the background color, you use a colored box.
Yeah.
So, you know,
So Simon, are you saying that we can take a look at the source code of a container?
Yes. Not right now.
It's one of the less fluttery widgets in Flutter, I'd say.
Yeah.
I agree.
The
The most used, though.
Yeah. Parameter hell.
Right. We're going to have a couple more questions, and then we'll get to the raffle. So, hands up.
I had a question for Andre.
Go ahead.
Do you know any Flutter Windows apps that are in production by some bigger companies?
Yeah, with Flutter apps being in production, that's also always kind of a tricky question. Sometimes you don't even know they're in Flutter. Really, you find out later. For me, I don't know of any, but I know that the Windows support is kind of recent in terms of the Flutter ecosystem itself. I don't expect that to take long. I mean, by this time next year, probably we'll all know a few apps. Like probably big apps.
I'll be more specific. Does Microsoft have any Flutter apps?
I can answer that. So as with any large corporation, I don't know everything that happens in the company, but we do have certain hackathon events and some kind of overflow between teams where we actually collaborate a lot more, and I've seen a lot more interest from developers. And I've seen also some projects, but can't be very specific about what's been cooking, let's say.
of course, something like a brand new project would be a better use case for this. So at some point, I expect Microsoft to publish some kind of app made in Flutter, but that's not a strategic decision at the top level. If a team wants to do something in Flutter and it's a good fit, they are free to do it. And since Flutter is so powerful, I don't expect that to take so long. I trust that it will happen eventually. No one's restricting developers from using it.
Thanks.
So on that the point of that you made on layouts, I just thought that no, the answer's gone. Try it when I need it. Doesn't matter. Anyway, right. Let's get to the raffle. Jay, you have the list.
Yes, I do. Now, I'm gonna need a member on the panel here to give me a number. You know numbers, right?
42.
32. Well,
42.
Oh,
the answer.
There you go.
Yeah,
I was thinking you said 32, which is also a power of 2. It's fine. Can I get a number between and including 1 and 12? Shout something.
7. 8.
I heard 7 and 8. I'll go with 7.5, which rounds to 8. And that is, I can just say the first part, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, last name Krakowski, Jacek.
Is he here?
Jacek. Otherwise, I'm gonna pick another one, I think. Sure. New number 7 then, yeah? R. Kuanish. Present.
No.
Dang it. Okay, new number. 3. Teresa Wu. Hey!
Which one? Jay. Which one?
Dash. Woo! Congratulations. Good stuff. And then the last one, I need between 13 and 21.
21.
21? Yeah, okay. Fair. JGT. Hey! All right, hey! Congrats, man. So he's getting the Flutter for Beginners book by Rap Payne, a recommendation of, I think most of us have at least seen a little bit of it, right? So, what's that? Pretty handy, definitely. So yeah, congrats to both of you, and thanks for answering and visiting the panel here and both at the booth.
Can we get the last slide up by chance? Is it
unlocked?
Kind of, yeah, it's unlocked.
Okay, cool.
There we are. Yeah, so I want to just leave you with stay safe and hot reload. Next month is DevFest 2021. That's been organised here in London, so 30th November. There's some flyers flying around somewhere that you can go find out how to register. Next year, 2nd and 3rd of February, Majid here has been arranging Flutter Vikings. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, in person and hybrid. I mean, it's a hybrid version, so you can watch it online, 2 days, 1 track, or you can come to Oslo and be my guest at the venue. 2 days, 2 tracks. All of these people will join, and you can meet us again.
And CFP is open.
And CFP is open, of course. Also, early bird, as well as I've checked right before the panel, early bird and also brave bird. I had 2 tickets, like cheap ones. They already sold out.
Ooh!
So
congrats.
Come on, if you want to come on, come to Oslo, you have to grab your ticket faster.
Just for everyone here, there is lots of community resources. We're just some of the members of the community. There's lots around. These are the ones that can make it to London. So if you're looking for other community members or somebody to ask you a question that didn't get answered today, you can go to flutter.dev/community. There's a Discord channel, there's a Slack channel, there's one of everything. And there's, at the moment, right now, every Wednesday, you'll find Flutter Apprentice. It's a book by Ray Wenderlich. And they have Google have purchased a license for that for 3 months, and that will take you from beginning a Flutter app to deploying on the App Store. And once a week we're doing a live stream where we'll be answering questions and providing help to everyone. And then the end of that set, it's a 2-hour long live stream. One hour for the book, the other hour is left open for AMA, ask questions. So if you have any technical questions, you can come on and ask them. It's on YouTube, so if you go to the Flutter Community YouTube channel, you're about to find those. Any last questions before?
I just wanted to add one thing, like a
Go for it.
call for action. Like, don't hesitate to contribute yourself.
Yeah.
Anything, like even like write a blog post about container, or like do whatever like feels that's like suitable for you, and maybe in a year from now it will be you actually performing on stage.
I was actually going to say, why not write a blog post about your experiences trying Flutter, because that's going to benefit everyone that wants to try what you've done. So, cool. Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.